Welcome to Dynasty Playbook. Thanks, Tyler. Good job.
What did I do?
Nothing. Welcome to the Dynasty Playbook. What's up, Buckers? Lots of craziness happening this week. Free agency, trades, whatnot. So we got a lot of stuff to cover. So we're just gonna dive right in. How you doing this week, bud?
I'm good, man. It's free agency and everything is on fire. Good times, right?
We're burning the shit down. And speaking of everything being on fire, I'm going to put out a fire real quick. Ivory to Jacksonville is not a big deal. It's not. Ivory is going to make up an entire 3% of Jacksonville's cap this year, even with his quote-unquote big contract. Yeldon has got a huge amount of snaps as a rookie because he was good. They're not just gonna give him less snaps. Ivory is being brought in as a relief back. He's being brought in as a legit solid backup that they didn't have. I mean, they had Toby Gerhart, so they had no one. Denard Robinson had more goal line carries than Toby Gerhart did. And if you combine their two amount of carries, that still puts Ivory at 20 without taking a single carry away from Yeldon. So I'm not concerned in the least. I told Tyler last night, I told the group last night, I still think Yeldon's going to be top 10 in running back snaps this year, even with Ivory. Don't care.
Don't care. I mean, you say it's not a concern in the least. It's at least a little bit of a concern. Come on.
Don't care.
I mean, well, I understand you don't care, but I think a lot of you don't care because you don't want to care. Ivory's a fucking handful, dude.
Yeah, until he breaks.
And I was the one swimming. I was swimming upstream against the Ivory current last year, and he did pretty well. Now, he faded off hard at the end of the year, but he did pretty well. Yeldon, I mean, it's a no-brainer if we're talking Dynasty, which we are. Yeldon's the back to own, and it's not even close at all. It's not even a little bit close, but Ivory's bound to chew into some workload. What if he's taking every third series? Similar to like the Matthews DeMarco thing where Ivory's taking every third series, all three downs. He's going to eat into some carries. If anything, it's a nice opportunity to say, hey, might be a little buy low window on Yeldon here. I got a couple low ball shit offers today for my TJ Yeldon. So maybe I should return the favor.
It doesn't sound like a bad idea, but say they do give it to him every third series. There's no way in hell Jacksonville is bottom 3 in rush attempts for the season next year. So if their rush attempts go up, then Ivory can afford to take every third series and it really not cut into Yeldon's numbers.
Yeah, you know what? The most sensible take I saw on this last night, Twitter was melting. When this news came out, the Ivory's going to Jacksonville, and Eric Harder put out a tweet saying exactly that. Jacksonville was 30th in the league in rush attempts. Did anybody stop to think that maybe they just want to run the football a little bit more? Which I thought, that just kind of encapsulates everything, and it's just real concise, but very smart and very practical and reasonable. That's probably what we're looking at. Yeldon's a handful, 3-down back, a fantastic player. And like you said, and like that tweet alluded to, it may not even affect his workload one bit if they're staying on the field more, running the ball more, because they kind of have to. I blame Gerhart for all of this and his shitty white rhino-ness.
I blame Gerhart for everything. AIDS in Africa, illiteracy in the South. I mean, it's all his fault.
I'm okay with this.
But, I mean, when it comes down to it, the amount of passing, the amount of times they passed in the red zone compared to the amount of times they ran in the end zone, or in the red zone, it's is so ridiculously unbalanced that it's gonna regress towards the mean on both ways. The rushing in the end zone was a really low number. Was a really low number, and the rushing in the end zone for them was a really low number, whereas the passing was ridiculously high. And people have been bringing it up on Twitter today and even last night that Ivory's red zone numbers aren't all that impressive. So it's not like they brought on Ivory to be, their red zone guy. So that's what leads me to believe he's going to be a relief back, because he doesn't do anything better than Yeldon does by any large margin. I think he's going to be there with limited carries, because any more than that, he's going to break. But giving him 100, 150 carries, which that's kind of high, but giving him that over a season, he could probably average, 5-6 yards a carry, because he's going to be fresh when he goes out there. As a team decision, it seems like the smart thing to do, especially when they've got to spend, I think Adam was saying 30, 40 million, or they just piss it away. They don't get to have it at all. They've got 187 million in cap money this year. So 8 million's kind of just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, might as well have a little yin to the yang there too. Bringing Ivory in to lay the hammer. Kind of like having that bullpen pitcher that throws 99 miles an hour. When the bats have been slowed down over the course of the game, I could see Ivory coming in and doing some damage. But I don't know. Like I said, it's not going to affect my valuation of Yeldon, not one bit. But I'm gonna. Yeah, short-term value, it's got to ding it a little. It just has to. A little bit. You're convincing me. You're sitting here convincing me otherwise.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe this year he was going to be top 5 in running back snaps. Now he'll be top 10. I'm really not that concerned about it. This is still going to be one of the better situations for opportunities to run for Yeldon, as opposed
for a young back,
right? As opposed to some of the just ridiculous crowded situations, and then you got the unknowns like San Francisco, where Carlos Hyde could get 320 carries, or Chip Kelly can just shit all over that and bring in whoever he wants. Bring in Ryan Matthews, why not?
I don't want to do this right now.
No, I'm not trying to switch this to Hyde.
Let's do other stuff. I can't handle that.
But yeah, I've still got Yeldon as a top 4 dynasty running back. He'll move to 5 after Zeke hits, and I see no reason to move him down any farther. It just makes me solidified a little bit more on David Johnson over Yeldon, but that could change after the draft. I don't know.
Yep. There's so far to go here. That's why speculating on running backs is a dangerous game.
Yeah, and we're going to do a bunch of it this year too, which is, I feel like it's somewhat ironic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in the rest of these free agents, we can't spend nearly as much time as we did talking about Ivory and Yeldon. Doug Martin re-signed in Tampa Bay. Good for him. Woo. Exactly, Tyler. Whoop-de-doo. I'm not expecting what we got from him this year again. It's unrealistic. But we're probably looking at better than his second and third year was. He'll probably be a startable running back. Am I going out and paying for him? Hell no. Am I selling him anywhere? No, because I don't own him anywhere. Because I got rid of him 2 years ago. But it's good for him.
Yes.
Good take.
So what's the other one? DeMarco to Tennessee. This one is slightly more whoop-de-doo for me, but along the same levels, I just don't care. Right?
I like it for redraft.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. DeMarco's a bully runner. DeMarco's a need to get downhill, north south kind of guy. When they ask him to go east west, it doesn't work. So they're gonna have to scheme for him better than what Philly did because he was miscast in that offense. He's still a talented dude, and he's a great receiver out of the backfield, fantastic receiver out of the backfield. But things got to get a little different for him, and that O line is bad, right?
I don't think so. I
No?
think if they go tackle with the first overall like they should, then that's a pretty solid O line. Because Lewin, or however you say his friggin' name,
Lawan.
something like that, the douchebag out of Michigan, he's apparently he's been solid. They got Andy Levitre, who they're paying him a fuck ton, but he's not bad. The top tackles in this class, they're really good.
Well, evidently, this Tunsil guy is all world. The guys that know say he's the no-brainer number one overall, and one of the better lineman prospects I've seen in a while. So, evidently, he's something else.
And Stanley out of Notre Dame is no joke either. Watching him go up against Shaq Lawson, like Shaq Lawson Shaq Lawson is good at what he does, and Stanley was right there with him every step. They'll both be top 5 picks. So even if Tennessee trades down a couple picks to whoever wants quarterback at 101, they'll still be okay. Their O-line will be more than usable this year. As for Murray, he's still
Was he 28? I think he's 28 now.
28, or he's either 28 now or he'll be 28 during the season.
But very, very low on career touches for a guy that's been in the league 5-6 years now. I bet he's hovering. I think he's hovering right around like 1,000, 1,100 touches, something like that.
And that's including
a bunch of which were that last season in Dallas where he had an absurd number of touches.
Like 300, almost 350.
So this could work. I mean, it could work out really well.
You know what I like?
Especially if they workhorse him, which why wouldn't they?
You know what I like the most about all of this? It says so much about what they think of David Cobb.
Strike one as a W. Yeah, but there's another L in there for me and Mr. Sankey there.
But it's not like we were advocating.
It was cost relative. When he's RB 38, I'm like, you got to draft this freaking guy. He's RB 38 with still the crazy spark score and, the decent draft pedigree, all that. But I'm much happier celebrating the David Cobb W than the Sankey L. How about that?
I can agree with that. And I think both of them are just a testament to Kevin Wisenhunt really sucks. Because Sankey was probably a legit talent at one point, and Wisenhunt couldn't do shit with him. And then their GM fucked it up and draft Cobb because Wisenhunt couldn't do anything with Sankey. I called it when he got hired there. Like, he's still legit the worst coach in the NFL. I'd rather have
Rob Ryan.
Yeah, I sure would.
Woo!
I'd rather have Philbin. I'd rather have who've been some recently fired guys. I'd rather have Lovie Smith, who's coaching in University of Illinois right now. Any of them, don't care.
Anybody but the Wiz.
Give me Cam Cameron. But let's move on to our college player discussion. And this week we decided to do Tajay Sharp, who Tyler and I both went into this with no bias, no initial thoughts at all. Mass is not not in a conference we watch. But this guy is 6'2", 195, so kind of a skinny build. The build is similar to Boyd and Doxson, and it's kind of skinny. He's got tiny baby hands, like less than 8.5 inches baby hands. but you'd have no idea that based on how he plays. Normally hand size is one of those few physical measurements I pay attention to, but I'm willing to overlook it this time because he just, especially watch the Bowling Green tape for 2014, and Tyler reacted immediately like, "Oh, Bowling Green, who gives a shit what he did against them? Everybody does good against them." It had nothing to do with the level of competition. It had everything to do with showing how good his hands were. He just plucks the ball out of the air. He's got that my ball mentality. He can high point the ball fantastically. He's a good route runner. He's very just one cut and turn. He's good at getting separation. Even against Notre Dame, he was getting separation against their corners. And Notre Dame's an entirely different level competition than what they're used to. With that being said, with his smaller hands, there's not a high success rate with players with small hands. Like, there are very few measurements where after you get to a certain point, there's almost no success here. But hand size, for some reason, happens to be that. But if Sharp was doing this in college ball with a larger football, there's no reason to think he can't do it at the next level with a narrower ball. Brain fart.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Like I said, the Bowling Green tape. I watched the Notre Dame tape first, and I was just like, I think a lot of that's because I just keep watching number 9 on Notre Dame. I couldn't really focus on Tajay Sharp because I'm watching Jalen Smith just be Jalen Smith. And that kind of makes me sad. But the Bowling Green tape was crazy. And immediately I want to say, and like Drew said, I was like, Bowling Green, whatever. I could go run routes against Bowling Green, which I couldn't, but, Sharp, man, he is that's his name. He is super crisp in his routes. Not a lot of wasted movement. Nice tight hips. When he's making his moves, he's not turning all the way. He's not doing anything crazy. But the my ball mentality, like we said, that's what he has in spades. That ball's in the air. He's like, that's mine. It's a one-on-one jump ball in the end zone. He's gonna fight for it. He's gonna give everything he's got to go get it. I don't know what we do with him. This is a guy the NFL draft's going to tell me what to do with him. Small school at UMass. I didn't even know they played football, to be perfectly honest with you. I was looking for Marcus Camby out there for some basketball takes, but he's a nice player. Nice player. Tiny baby hands. Will Fuller has tiny baby hands. T.Y. Hilton has tiny baby hands. We actually did some tiny baby hand research on this so we could see what's going on. AJ Green has smallish hands. The AJ Green guy's pretty good. So can we overlook that a little bit? Yeah, because we like the tape and you want to be biased. You can be biased. It's kind of what we do. But I just didn't watch enough. I watched 2 cut-ups of him rather quickly, and that was about it. But I like what I saw.
Yeah, and what's funny is you say you didn't even know UMass played. They're a Conference 1 team.
Whatever. What are they? Where do they play? They play in that weird American conference?
No, I think they're like no idea actually. Let me
they're like you didn't make the ACC cut. You didn't make the Big Ten cut. Here, come play over here with us in Villanova and God knows what's going on over there.
You know what? That one's actually nicer than Conference USA, though. Like, they sniped a bunch of our guys from Conference USA. They're from the Mid-American Conference.
Oh, the MAC. Some action. That's like what, like Buffalo and Bowling Green and Miami of Ohio. Those teams.
Essentially a bunch of turds. But
that's actually a decent conference, so I mean that conference puts out NFL guys every year.
So does
Khalil Mack came from there.
So does the AAC though. I mean, legit all of these
True.
All of these conferences are putting out guys to some extent. which has nothing to do with what we were talking about.
Nothing at all. It's like, we just absolutely cannot stay on topic. Just can't do it.
It is impossible. But my last note on Sharp is I'm fairly certain he's going to be my Stephon Diggs this year, where I'm going to be willing to take him around round and a half higher than anyone else is, and I'm just fine with that. How high I'm willing to take him is going to depend entirely on what the NFL draft tells me. If they spend a 5th round pick on him, I'm willing to go as high as late 2nd. But we'll see.
That's fair. I like that, especially with this wide receiver class being what it is, which is all over the frickin' map and jumbled up. You might as well jump early. It's paid off in the past. It's bitten us in the past, but it's paid off in the past. I'd much rather die on my own sword for a guy that I like.
I feel like if there's anything that we truly advocate for on the show, it's all about the my guy. Go for who you like. And I don't say he's like Stephon Diggs for me because I think he's going to be Stephon Diggs, or I even like him as much as Diggs, but just that I'm going to be higher on him than the consensus by a good deal, because Sharp would not have been a late 2nd round pick in last year's draft for me. He would have been a mid-3rd, maybe a late 3rd. But this class is just, after like the mid-2nd, it gets really like, just do whatever you want. So
yeah, which we're going to do anyway.
Yeah.
Caution to the wind.
So for our,
I'm going to spend a lot more time watching them though.
It's worth it. I really enjoyed watching that Bowling Green game because you really get to see how solid his hands are. You get to watch him box out defenders and really just protect the ball. You see all the things you need to see from him, where it doesn't matter who he's playing against as long as you're seeing it.
I did see him go and just pluck one off the turf. And this thing was a ground skinner. It was like an inch off the ground. He just went and plucked it with hands, pulled it back in, and kept running, which was pretty impressive for little hand man. So,
yeah, and it's probably the reason why his Notre Dame game looked like garbage, just because his QB was trash and did not know how to handle the higher level of competition.
I think that may have definitely played into why I was getting the mez. But normally I'll watch. I got off work late today. I've been busy as hell. I hadn't watched any tape of him before, like 30 minutes before we went on. Normally I'll watch a game 3 times, each individual clip 3 times before I even, try to form an opinion. So I need to spend more time with him. But the fact that you like him, that's good enough for me to dig in here.
All right, with that, let's start hitting up these submitted questions because we got a few of them. And just a heads up for any of the free agency guys we didn't hit yet, we waited till these because everybody's asking questions about them. First one comes from Crab Person at SPG1780. How many Gordon shares are too many? And he's just asking for a friend. Yes. Any shares of Gordon are too many. Sell him now. This is as high as he's going to get because in 20 minutes, we could have a notification on our phone and while we're recording that says he didn't get reinstated. No more value. No more anything. Give me any first this year. Give me any 2017 first. I'll throw in a second this year or next year to get a 2017 first for Gordon. That class is so fucking good, and Gordon is so sketchy to own. I get the idea that when he plays, he's got that number 1 overall wide receiver upside. But how many guys have really done the drug program like he has and just stopped, just gotten completely clean and never had another issue? It doesn't happen. And I hate to be a pessimist like that because hopefully he can get clean, and clean being the operative word. It's pot. Let's calm down here. But hopefully he can rework his priorities to where pot is not the priority. But it's probably not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon, at least.
I'm all about carrying risky guys. You know what I mean? Last year, before waivers closed, I went and grabbed Justin Blackmon in several spots. Because why not? But the deal with Gordon, the return you're getting is insanity. Now there are people out there that'll give you the 101 for him, give you Zeke Elliott straight up for him right now. It's happening out there. So I'm aggressively shop. I have one share left. That league hadn't even rolled over to 16 yet. It's kind of dead right now. But I need to get on the ball, get rid of that guy because of what he's bringing, not because of what I think he can be or don't think he can be or will be or won't be. It doesn't even matter because this is a great cash out scenario here. If we're talking about trading him for a second round pick or trading him for Marvin Jones or somebody like that, I'm like, yeah, hold him all day. It's worth way more than that. But the kind of return he's getting right now, it's a pretty easy sell for me because he can go, like you said, he can go from crazy third round startup value to zero zip nada on the waiver wire like that instantly. And that's frightening. And I think it's ridiculous that you can get suspended for pot. I mean, it's 2016 for Christ's sake, but that doesn't matter because that's the rules by which they have to abide.
Right. And I think that's an interesting point, and I like the way you put that if you're shopping him, shop him for a pick that has an upside or a player that has upside. Marvin Jones doesn't have real upside. A second-round pick has limited upside. If you're selling him, make sure it's worth selling for. Make sure it's worth getting out of that risk. Because trading him for a depth guy doesn't make any sense. You can just throw away depth guys when you need to. And if Gordon's going to be the difference between is going to be a difference maker or just a throwaway, then the range of outcomes are just smaller for Marvin Jones, and that's just meh.
Let's burn it down. Straight up for Dante Moncrief right now. Taking Moncrief?
Hell yeah.
I am too. I think that's about the Mendoza line here. Moncrief's like the 105-ish, 106-ish, I would think, in value right now. I think. I don't know. That's about where I'm at. Give me anything comparable to Dante Moncrief, and I'm out. I'm gone. Give me DGP. Give me Moncrief. Give me T.Y. Hilton. Any first-round pick.
Landry.
Package. Give me some IDPs. Let's get out of here now. Cash out fast and go. Move on. Stop burning that roster spot.
I'd probably sell out a lot cheaper than for a lot cheaper than you would. The first one that came to my mind after we went past Moncrief was Devontae Adams. I'm not sure I'm ready to go that low because of where everyone else values him. I still think Adams has some life to him. But
Mike Floyd, we're out of here for Mike Floyd all day.
Yep. Martavis Bryant, done.
Yeah, that's the kind of return you can get right now. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I'm unloading risk. I'm adding upside, and I'm not getting any older. I definitely don't want to get older unless I'm getting, a stud, which is just not out of the realm of possibility either. So I'd love to see him come back and light the world on fire. Just amazing player. But we'll see. All right. Next question. This is from our buddy at Adam TZ, Sticky Z. Why don't Alf and Kiri have jobs? Kiri Robinson. And then everybody's favorite CD Carter parody account, Kenny Darter, pops in and says, does Alf even deserve a job? Alf deserves a job.
Like at McDonald's or whatever.
If Chris Ivory deserves a job, Alf Morris deserves a job. I mean, they're effectively the same back, more or less. I don't know why they haven't gotten signed yet. The market's still getting adjusted. I don't know how much work's left out there for him.
I think there's a lot of work out left there for Kyrie, just because he hasn't had starter snaps. He's still fairly fresh despite the injuries.
He's getting up there though, isn't he?
Yeah, for a first contract running back, or he's not. He might not even be a first contract running back. I think we extended him.
Yeah, I bet he's 26, 27 years old.
He's edging on that age curve, but at this point, I mean, I've got him all over the place for fairly cheap. I want him to land somewhere where it looks like he can compete for the job and then flip him. Even though I think he might offer a year or two of legit top 15 running back production.
In the right scenario with the right amount of touches, sure.
If he gets started, he gets started snaps, he's probably an RB1.
Yeah, I can see that.
Alf is going to be a backup somewhere, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he's not a legit fantasy starter.
He's going to be the lesser half of RBBC.
He would be like a shitty Jeremy Hill,
who is also kind of shitty,
right? Which that should say enough.
A shitty version of shitty Jeremy Hill. I like that. It's a good comp. So anyway, I don't know. They'll be signed here pretty quick. Who knows? And Sticky has a second question, and you know what? If you had to buy a baked good from a bakery, what would it be? We both unanimously voted to refuse to answer this question because Sticky and baked goods have no relevance to us, no importance to us. We're just going to move on.
Yeah,
How dare you ask? How dare you ask us this? The nerve.
You think he'd know better after he broke the hangout the last time he was on here? You'd think he'd know better.
He made me yell.
He made both of us yell.
He made me be mean. I'm not a mean guy. I never say mean things.
All right, now. I can see your nose starting to grow, Pinocchio.
There you go.
Our next question comes from @J422 Smith. On a scale of 1 to god awful, how bad are those multiple fruit Mentos? I'm gonna be I guess in disagreement here. I like Mentos. I like the fruit Mentos. I mean, I don't love them. I'm not hankering for some Mentos, but I'll eat them. I'll eat them and be happy about it.
Yeah, meh. I mean, they're not like Nico wafer nasty. But they're pretty nasty for me. My wife loves them. She gets the strawberry ones. She'll get like 6 packs of them. And I could be dying for sugar, dying for something sweet, and I don't even get into them. So they're completely meh for me. I wouldn't go as far as to say they're god awful, but man, they ain't good. I don't like them.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt my feelings at all. I'm not hinging my emotions on fruit Mentos takes.
Some Mentos.
I've got a bag of wild berry Skittles right here that are keeping me nice and happy.
There you go. All right. Looks like he's got a second part to the question.
Yeah, I forgot that was my question to ask.
That's all right. See, we're trying to be more structured here.
Yeah, that's probably not working very well.
Yeah.
He's also got a second question for us. This one's a little bit more serious. If you own Lamar Miller, are you holding in hopes he fulfills the Foster role, or are you selling? If so, for what? It really depends on entirely what would be. If I can sell Lamar Miller for a top 3 pick, I'm doing that. I'm doing that without a second thought. But lower than that, probably not, because he's going to be he's probably like number 6 overall for me, dynasty running back. Once you add Zeke to the mix, he's actually probably pushing Hyde because he's going to get starter snaps there. When he's had that number of snaps, he's been really good. And he's still young. He's David Johnson's age. There's no reason to undervalue him. We've seen what he can do. So if I can get people overreacting and buying him on more than what they should, I'm selling. But other than that, I'll hold all day.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. A lot of this is going to depend on where my team is. If I'm competing, man, this is great. I've sat on him. You got him cheap when you initially got him, almost definitely. And you've been able to use him. You know, he's been a good player, but now it's almost like this stock is coming to maturity. This is what we've been waiting for, and not necessarily to sell. You know, if your team's peaking right now, I could think of 2 other running backs I'd rather have in the very, very short term, and we know who they are. So, you know, this is fantastic news for him getting out of Miami. Let's see if he's finally going to get the touches. You know, if we can get him consistently, 17 to 20 touches a game, look out, because he's going to produce. So I'm with you. If somebody's going to come offer me insane value, I'm not going to turn it down regardless. But if I'm competing, I'm not even really actively shopping him. It's going to have to be one of those deals where somebody just has to come in and, offer me something great. If I'm rebuilding, let's get him gone because he's a running back. Just let's get him moved. Like Drew said, top 3 pick or equivalent. Set a 17 first, a 17 first in a player, something like that. I like that. But, like you said, he's young. He's been in the league for freaking ever. Seems like he's been around a long time.
4 years. I mean, he just finished the contract.
I just remembered a trade I made. Can I do a humble brag, please?
Yeah, go for it. What you got?
All right, this is a trade I made right after remember Ben Tate? That wasn't that long ago. Right after Ben Tate signed with Cleveland, okay? This is a 2 tight end league. I traded Ben Tate and Marquise Wilson for Lamar Miller and Jordan Reed.
Ooh. Woo! That's nice without the Reed, to be honest.
I know.
Well,
at the time, it was like, obviously I'm going to do it, but, Reed was dead. And I'm going to say this was the 2013 offseason. I'm not real sure what the time – it was after Reed's rookie year. So it would have been about this time 2 years ago, I think.
I feel like Reed actually had legit value then. People were holding him in high
regard. Yeah, he did.
He was dead
top
then.
5 tight end after his rookie year. But right. Ben Tate was going to be the shit. And I was all about Ben Tate. I love watching Ben Tate run.
Ben Tate is the older version of Chris Ivory. He's the perfect relief back.
Okay, I thought you mean style of play. I was like, no.
No. You give him the limited amount of snaps, and he goes out there and does fucking work. But you give him 200 carries.
Like peanut brittle.
Ew.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad I got to get that out there. That felt good. I'm not going to lie. And this is a team that is a good freaking team. I got Ertz and Eifert and Jordan Reed and Ladarius all in a 2 tight end league. Life is good.
Mm.
And Ben Tate's on the wire and Marquise Wilson is on the wire, and I've got 2 legit assets. Yeah. And sometimes you win. Sometimes you win. Sometimes I've lost a lot more than I've won, I think. But that's a win.
The other nice thing about Lamar being in Houston is they just picked up Brock Osweiler. Now, I'm going to plant my dreams in reality. Brock Osweiler just has to be average, and the quality of that offense increases significantly from Brian Hoyer. If they have a better passing game, Lamar Miller is going to have a way easier time running. When you're having to take care of DeAndre Hopkins, that diverts a fair amount of focus. And Jalen Strong is a number 2, or if they bring in a different number 2 because they think Jalen Strong's a knucklehead.
God, please don't.
Oh, I couldn't handle it.
Please don't.
But legit, he should have a pretty good offense to be running with. And that O-line is still fairly solid. They're getting old, but they're still pretty good.
I mean, this is a playoff team and a bad division. I don't even know if I want to call it a bad division,
It's a
weaker
bad
division. Jacksonville's on the up.
Indy's on the middle.
Indy's, they've always got Andrew Luck. They've always got number 12, so that's going to keep them in there. So it's a bad division. You're right. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a good situation. It's obviously a better situation on paper, just in theory, than Miami, who just absolutely would not feed him. Just wouldn't. But I wonder, he went through several coaching changes, and they still didn't feed him. Is there something else going on there? I guess we'll find out. Anyway, next question is from our buddy Dynasty 5 at 51919. This is a little off topic. I'd like to know what brand of tool is Tyler's go-to, and is Snap-on worth the insane price? I guess for those of you who don't know, I work on cars for a living. Kind of a half-assed mechanic. Brand of tool, Snap-on, man. My little 1/4-inch Snap-on ratchet is my go-to tool. I'm using that more than anything else. Is Snap-on worth the insane price? Yes, it is. Snap-on gear is the best, especially when we're talking toolboxes, ratchets, impact wrenches, things like that. Now, just a wrench, I don't give a shit. Give me the $5 wrench from Northern Tool Traders. I don't care. But if it's something that you're going to be using and using a lot and there are moving parts in there, you want the best. And a lot of why you use Snap-on is because credit. I can give you $30-$40 a week, or I can go somewhere and spend $1,000 in one shot. Let me pay it out over time. So I think that's what you run into more than anything. But that's a cool question. I like that.
To me, the biggest thing that would determine whether it's worth it or not is how often are you really using it. If you're dicking around on your car to change your oil once in a while, then no. But if you're working in a shop, or even if you just do a fair amount of mechanic work, it's probably worth the money.
It is. Like I say, my little Snap-on 1/4-inch ratchet, I've got like 3 of them. But I got one in particular. I've had this thing for freaking ever. It's been re-geared and rehandled and run over and bashed and broken. Still got it. That thing's getting used constantly. And they're lifetime warranties, so that's always cool. I love taking some to the Snap-on guy and be like, hey, I broke this. Like, how'd you do that? I don't know. I definitely didn't have a 6-foot cheater bar on it. But anyway, I like that question. That's fun. That's about the most fun I've had talking about work in a long, long time, so I appreciate that.
Oh, that 6-foot cheater bar brings back memories for me.
No, I've turned the ratchets into half moons, dude.
All right, with that, let's move on to a question from Tyler's brother at B_hug. And he's asking us a question about football this time. Imagine that. If Powell is re-signed, do you see any value next year with one of the best PPR backs being signed? And of course, he's talking about Forte. He's one of the best PPR backs because he likes to set the reception record for running backs, whatever. I like Forte this year for the Jets. As a dynasty asset, if you can get him cheap as a 1-year grab, I'm all about it. But long-term, no. And in terms of Powell re-signing, they could give Powell the same amount of money they just gave Chris Ivory, and I still wouldn't give a shit. It's just, don't care. Forte is going to be good this year. He's going to be really good for that offense, especially if they re-sign Fitzpatrick. It's if Chris Ivory can do work in there, Matt Forte can do some real work in there.
And the main benefit of Powell was he was working with Chris Ivory and Zach Stacy and the not third down backs. So you got some utility out of Powell this year. You could use him, I used him in DFS a few times as a nice little cheap throw in, and it worked out well. And even in head-to-head, it worked out well. And best ball is probably even better because you didn't have to play the guessing game. But with Forte there, that's a leech. And he's going to kill any real receiving upside if Powell resigns with the Jets. So I don't see much there. Is he worth having on a roster? Yeah. If you're rostering 26, 28 players, I think that's probably about the cutoff. If you're rostering 21, 22, 24, I think you're probably better off with something else. But he's worth having around, but I wouldn't be expecting too much. You're basically hoping for an injury, I think. That sounds shitty, hoping for an injury. You are waiting for an injury. I didn't mean that. I'm not hoping guys get hurt. So
anyway. We know what you mean.
Yeah, I hope so.
It's a weird way to phrase it, but
yeah,
we're not hoping anybody gets hurt. We're not. Just no. Even when we're waiting for Kristen Michael to get in there, I wasn't sitting here hoping I hope Marshawn Lynch gets hurt. No, I hope he retires because he wants to go just crush Skittles into crack lines and snort them off the table, which does not work as nearly as well as you think it would.
It sounds good in principle, but no. Yeah. All right, next question from our buddy at Danny Tage. Danny Tage is awesome. Thoughts on Travis Benjamin? Will he and Stevie be viable starts ever? What would you pay for him? So Travis Benjamin signed in San Diego. What do I think about him? Our buddy 14 Team Mocker calls him a little Oompa Loompa person. I kind of like that. A little tiny receiver. I don't know what I think about it. He's going to have some monster weeks, right? He's bound to, because he's going to get over the top of somebody and catch 2 or 3 touchdowns. So, what would I pay for him? Nothing. I don't think I'd pay anything for him in a best ball format. I might give you a third or something weird like that. Stevie, I love Stevie Johnson, man, but I thought it was going to happen last year. It kinda ish happened, but Stevie's pushing 32. So
no, he's not.
Is he not?
He's going to be 30 this year.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought he was getting up there. So, same kind of deal with him. I wouldn't hate having him on a best ball roster, but I ain't trying to plug him into my head-to-heads. No way. So, who knows? It's the Keenan Allen show. He's the only one wide receiver there that you could start with any confidence. And you could start Keenan with all the confidence.
So much confidence. And this is probably not the only wide receiver that's going to be added to their roster this year. They're either going to pick one up in the draft or they're going to grab another one in free agency, and that's just going to make it even muddier for those depth guys. But let's hit up our buddy Ryan's question at RL Kania. I
asked him how to pronounce it one time, and he gave me 16 different answers. I was like, fine, whatever, dude.
Don't care.
Yeah.
And you add an 80 at the end of it. His first question is it finally Ladarius time? It sure as fuck is. I've been waiting for this shit for so long, and I'm so excited. I tore my jeans this morning. It was denim ripping. I just so excited. He's top 6 for me right now. Something like that. I'm excited. Granted, I had him as a borderline tight end 1 before, so I have been irrationally high on him. So this is my chance to overreact even more.
You enjoy it. I'm not even going to try to rain on your parade. I don't know if I could rain on your parade with this. I've been trying to rain on the Ladarius parade. Just let it go, dude. It's not going to happen. This is a good landing spot. There's a lot of mouths to feed, but that offense chucks it, man. And they move the ball, and they stay on the field a ton. So this is – I don't know if there was a better landing spot for him.
New Orleans.
Was there? New Orleans. We'll get there. But, yeah, good for him. Yay, Drew. Go Chad. Go Doug. All the UTH guys love Ladarius Green. I'm happy for all you guys. I hope it works out well.
If Heath Miller can be a tight end 1 in Pittsburgh, then there's no reason Green can't be.
Heath Miller. Who else am I going to play at tight end now? I feel like I've been playing Heath Miller at tight end. Just fuck it, put Heath in again. I don't have anybody else.
You can do Vernon Davis from now on.
Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis was good.
So
It wasn't that. It wasn't that long ago, dude.
it was like 2-3 years ago.
God, he was good.
Then just everything in San Francisco fell apart. Just it all went to shit, and I think he stopped caring. To be honest,
Probably.
I would too.
Yeah.
It'd be like playing for Cleveland. Like I'm surprised Mack and Brown and the guys they have there that are actually good still put in the work. Because after a year of just being in this, it's an entire era of failure. They never seem like they're trying to really do better.
They're just existing.
What they are is they're a clogged toilet that just keeps flushing the handle even though they know the water won't go down. How can you go to work and be happy and try? Like I'd have dropped my pack years ago. Couldn't do it. But Ryan's got a second question for us. Will it be Marvin? And he's referencing Marvin Jones signing with Detroit, Golden Tate, or Eric Ebron, who's the biggest target for Stafford in 2016? I think the easy answer is Golden Tate. We've seen him be a wide receiver 1 with Stafford, with Megatron gone already. Ebron's going to see a nice jump. Marvin Jones will see decent targets as a wide receiver 2. But I'm not convinced they don't bring in another wide receiver as well. And there's no reason for them not to, because their depth sucks.
Oh, yeah. Was it Corey Fuller and God?
I've rostered
TJ
Fuller.
Jones.
Rostered him.
What's that? I got TJ Jones rostered in a few spots. He's a Notre Dame guy, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I've had Fuller rostered in places before. It's a shit show.
It's the Golden Tate show. It's good. I mean, they could bring in Jerry freaking Rice. I don't care. It's the Golden Tate show. Golden Tate's gonna catch 9,500 balls next year. I don't care if the ADOT is good. I don't care if the yards per catch is good. He's going to be a PPR monster and best in the business after the catch. Nobody better. So he's going to get loose on a few of them. So I love it. I also think Stafford's prime, or not Stafford, Ebron. He's primed for a breakout here.
Oh, yeah.
He's primed to really make that leap.
Him and Amir Abdullah. Abdullah's going to see a ton of work in the passing game.
I love Abdullah as a buy this offseason. Absolutely love him as a buy. Because he doesn't have to be a workhorse. He doesn't have to be. He's not going to be. That's not who he is. But he's going to work in the passing game, and he's going to rip off a few big ones. He's going to give you one of those, 12, 14-point runs where you're just like, whoop, game changers. So
he's Gio without the competition for carries.
I can see that. Well, I mean, Zach Zenner, the great white hope. Depending on who you talk to, Zach Zenner is going to lead the planet in rushing.
If you ask me on a good day, that's my position. But if you ask me on a day when somebody's pissed at my Cheerios and I'm being a pessimist, it's probably not happening.
Yeah, I mean, Amir's clearly the guy to own there. But yeah, it's the Golden Tate show. Marvin Jones is a nice little buy because I think it's because his name is Marvin. It's just like, how good could he possibly be, right? With a name like that.
We have Melvin too, and he was supposed to be good.
He's not. I hate to say he's not. But, I mean, his name is Marvin. I bet you could go out right now and get him for exactly what he would have been yesterday because nothing's really changed all that much. He caught 9 touchdowns in a game a few years ago. Yawn. But Marvin he'll be startable. Absolutely, he'll be startable. But I'd be surprised if he cracks wide receiver too. Because Golden Tate's going to eat full throttle, baby. The Golden Tate hype train. Coming down the tracks.
Golden hate.
The Golden hate. I'm going to get a lot of Golden hate for that because Breeze absolutely hates him. And that's okay because he's kind of a punk. But that's okay too.
Breeze hates everyone, though.
This is true. Speaking of Breeze, our next question comes from the Squirrel. Our good buddy. The retired @Breeze IDP. I like these questions. If the Philadelphia linebackers were Oreos, which flavor would each be? And the Philadelphia linebacker corps added Nigel Bradham today. Vomit. What the hell? We almost had some clarity because Nigel Bradham is like a Swiss Army knife of a linebacker. This dude can do whatever you need him to do. Doesn't really matter. I think they're all going to be, for me, and this is going to be construed as a hot take, they're all going to be cinnamon bun Oreos because of the unfulfilled promise. I liked them, but I didn't love them. And I'm afraid that's what we're going to run into.
I thought you were going with hot take about your opinion on the linebackers, but you're going to bash Oreos?
That's the question is Oreos. And like I said, I'm not bashing the cinnamon bun Oreos. I'm happy to draft the cinnamon bun Oreos. I love having them in the pantry, but I'm not going out of my way to get them. Give me some regular Oreos. Give me the golden Oreos, what have you. I feel like I was so jacked for them. And then I tried them and I was like, yeah, they're good. And then I just put them back, like back in the cupboard and
I've eaten a lot of them. So many. But since we're talking about Philly linebackers, if Kiko Alonso was an Oreo, he'd be the great value brand Oreos you get from Walmart. The generic brand.
He'd be a Hydrox. But see, Kiko's in Miami now. We finally had some freaking clarity. And they go inside Nigel Bradham, who I love. I love Nigel Bradham. And I love Mike Kendricks. And I really love Jordan Hicks. It's a lot of mouths to feed. And it's a lot of guys who are really, really good at football. And I'm afraid we're going to see all kinds of weird-ass sub-packages. It's going to be difficult for any one of them to take 100% of the snap load. I don't know, man. That was a weird signing for me. So, anyways, second question. Also, my wife bought the Hershey mini pack that also includes a special dark. Is this grounds for divorce? They all come with special dark, Breeze. You got the crackle, you got the good bar, you got the regular, and you got the dark. Okay? You knock out the good bars and the crackles first. Then you eat the regular ones, and then the darks sit in the bottom of the bag until you throw them away. So it's not her fault that Hershey's just insists on including these nasty, nasty-ass dark chocolate squares in the bag. It's kind of like an orange Starburst. Who wants that crap? You know what I mean? Or the green Skittle. Nobody wants it. It's just there. So it is what it is.
Let's be completely honest. That dark chocolate Hershey is symbolic of the mix of your family. You know, you got P, who's the regular Hershey. It's super sweet. You're all about it. You got your wife, who probably not the Mr. Good Bar, because your wife's a Mr. That's off. She's going to be the crackle. And you're the dark chocolate because you're bitter and no one likes you.
Oh my God. I didn't see that coming, but it's a very good comparison there. Breeze is dark chocolate. We love you.
Come do an IDP playbook with us.
Yes. We got to bring him out of retirement, dude. Breeze is as good at this game as anybody I've ever met. We got to get him back.
All right. Our next question comes from @Glosser13. He says, Drew, I need to hear your Fleener take. Non-biased, of course. LOL. Well, it's actually going to be fairly unbiased because I'm not stoked that he signed in New Orleans. I'm not going over the moon. It's a good signing. He's going to see targets. Look at what Ben Watson did. He's going to be a useful asset. But do I think he's going to be a long-term tight end one with New Orleans? I don't know that he's going to be our long-term tight end one. We could easily draft a guy. You know, we just signed Humanawa Nui. Said that right.
Amanawana Wiki, yeah.
He just got a 3-year extension. So I'm not getting my hopes too high about it. I'd probably put him in top 15, maybe top 12 range. I'm not overreacting. And on that same note, at 14 Team Mocker asks, is it finally Josh Hill time, or should I put down the bong? It's not Josh Hill time. It was never going to be Josh Hill time. I got so excited, and it just didn't happen. I wouldn't put the bong down, though. It's a good way to forget about Josh Hill.
Never put the bong down. I mean, why? There's no reason. Just move on. I wonder how many waiver wire budgets were just blown on Josh Hill when the waivers opened last year. Because he was on waivers in every league, and I saw it. Big time free agent bids coming in on Josh Hill. Hell, we did it on the team that we co-own. Went and spent a little penny on Josh Hill. Yeah, it ain't happening, man.
I actually had owned Josh Hill on a couple of rosters prior to Jimmy's trade. So that was neat.
Yeah, that felt good. And then you're like, woohoo. And then and you probably started in week 1 because why wouldn't you?
I think I shipped him off everywhere because people overreacted on the value just like they're going to with Fleener. Sure, I think they're going to be startable. But if you're paying me top 6, top 7 prices, which for tight end, even anyways, is not that great, I'm still taking it because it's a replaceable position after the top 5 or 6.
Yeah. Yep, you're on point there. I think probably 10 to 15, whatever. All right. Hey, we got a question from the subreddit this week. We hadn't had much action over there in a while. And subreddit's really picking up some good stuff there. This is really involved. It's from Dud Hunter, which is a really cool name. Can we discuss some over-unders on polarizing wide receivers? He's given us 5 guys and then given us an over-under stat line. We'll just pick these off one at a time. First one is Kevin White, 750 yards and 5 touchdowns. I'll take the over on the yardage pretty comfortably, assuming health. Touchdowns, I don't know.
I'd take the over on the touchdowns way more easily just because of his jump ball ability. And
her touchdowns are so weird, though. I mean, it's so hard to predict.
He's going to get red zone looks.
True.
It makes it a lot more reliable.
They also got the monster on the other side, but now they got to pay attention to both of them. I mean, if he is under 750 yards next year, I'm going to consider that a extreme disappointment.
Agreed.
Massive disappointment. Next guy, J Matt, 1,204. Man, 1,200 seems like a pretty nice number. If you tell me right now he's going to get 1,204, I'm going to be like, that's cool. I'm okay with that. You want more touchdowns, obviously. 1,200 yards, pretty good. I mean, if he's getting 1,200 yards, we're probably looking at 80, 85 catches.
I think I'm taking the under on the yards. I still think he breaks 1,000, but I don't know that he breaks 1,200. And I'm taking the over on the touchdowns. 4 just seems low.
It is. I just have a hard time with touchdowns. I don't know. I just almost don't even think about them until they happen. Next guy, our favorite guy, KB, Kelvin Benjamin, 808. 800 yards, 8 touchdowns. How could he not get 800 yards and 8 touchdowns? Describe to me the scenario where Cam doesn't feed him at least that.
I could see the touchdowns not being there. I'm honestly, I'd push on the touchdowns, but I'd give the over on the
8 seems like a good median, right?
Right.
Nice median number.
Because, I mean, he had a lot of touchdowns his rookie year, but they didn't have Funchess then. They didn't have Ginn then. There's gonna be other guys to target. Not that they're particularly good, but if they're hitting the long ball, they're not gonna have a bunch of red zone jump ball targets like they did his rookie.
Put Funch in there. What do you think Funch does? Assuming they don't add anybody.
I don't think Funch breaks 1,000 yards. He might get 5 touchdowns. Because Carolina's going to have a strong offense next year.
We were talking about 750 and 5 for White. I think if Funch hits 750 and 5, I'd be pretty okay with that as far as his progression.
Because he's been behind the ball in terms of what he's been working with since day one. We knew he was going to be.
He's still a baby, too. That's the thing is, you got time for this kid to grow. So, next guy, Brandon Cooks, 1,206. I think you can just bank that. I think you can just bank it.
That's a push for me on both of them, pretty safely.
Last guy, our favorite, Stephon Diggs, 750 yards, 5 touchdowns. I don't know what they're going to do at wideout. Minnesota's got to add something at wideout. Charles X ain't the guy. Diggs should be the number one target in that offense, even if they add a rookie, a Dachshund, or whomever. So I think Diggs is going to push 1,000 yards. As far as touchdowns, tough to say.
I agree on the 1,000 yards, and the 5 touchdowns is probably about right, especially with Teddy not being as pass heavy. 5 touchdowns for him represents a decent amount of his passing touchdowns that he'll throw.
You know, we talked about Abdullah being a buy. I think Teddy's a really nice buy in 2 QB league right now.
Absolutely. He's a solid as hell player. He's a higher upside Alex Smith. Not higher by a ton, but
even if he's Alex Smith for the next 10 years, you know what that stability means in 2 QB leagues?
Means you can
huge.
You can gamble on like high upside prospects and not worry about if they hit. That's the stuff you get to do when you have solid guys like that for a long period of time.
Just plug him in, and maybe he gets you 15, maybe he gets you 8, maybe he gets you 35, but it doesn't matter because that QB slot's filled every single week. So, and Sticky wanted us to talk about the massive auction league we're doing. I think I'd rather wait till we got this thing filled out because it is a dumpster fire, dude. It is a hot mess, and then with MFL being down for the last few days, it kind of put the brakes on that. We haven't even gotten into the IDP side. Our team's coming together. I thought about it because of Teddy. It's 2 QB league. We got Teddy and Jameis in a 14-team super flex. Feeling pretty good about that. Love having that right up at the top.
Oh, yeah. Especially we paid, $300 total out of a $1,500 budget for the 2 of them? Maybe.
I think we paid about $350 total.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Not bad. I think that's about what Andrew Luck went for, if I'm not mistaken.
And I would take Jameis plus Teddy over Luck straight up any day.
Yeah, I think so.
Just because it fills the 2 spots.
The numbers are everything. I mean, you want a little bit more upside, but that's okay. We'll find upside somewhere else.
That's right.
So that league is wow. I mean, there's a fire-breathing dragon. This thing is off the rails. Devi, Superflex, IDP, the scoring is insanity. I mean, a guy scores for putting his socks on right. You know what I mean? Like, he went and got a drink of water, half a point. It's crazy. I love it.
I mean, that's kind of been our motto is we like points. So,
hey, push the envelope, man. Always pushing it because it gets stale. 1 QB, 2 running backs, 3 wideouts, a flex. Shoot me. I don't want any part of that crap anymore.
Nope.
Give me the good stuff. Give me the 2 QB. Give me the points per carry.
Right.
I'll never do non-IDP again.
Points per carry is the same for me now. I won't do it without it. It gives value to the position that everyone started devaluing.
It's huge. I really like it. And it's a way to keep our PPR.
Right. Because
that's what it does. It allows us to keep our PPR because we like points.
Yup. The more ways they can score, the more ways that the good players differentiate themselves from the piss poor players. And I think that's about all we got for this week. I think that was a solid little show, about an hour.
All right. Discipline. We have discipline.
I don't know if that's the right word for it.
Cartman-son, you are Raka discipline. You remember that episode of South Park? It's so good.
Before you even brought it up, as soon as you said lack discipline, that was exactly what I heard in my head.
It's so good.
Oh.
You got a rant, or are we just going to run it out? We got a rant? What do we got?
I'm trying to let go of these rants. I'm trying to... I said it a couple weeks ago. I've got enough anger and hate in my life. I'm trying to just let it ease out. I got a bag of Skittles. I got a Mountain Dew.
Woosah.
Exactly. I'm working on my Tyler Boyd article, and I'm not upset. The answers I've gotten so far have not made me upset. Life's good. Life's real good.
This is good. This is good. Yeah. Joey, our buddy JoJo, and Drew had another article come out of UTH. They're cracking down on these IDP rookies. Check them out at UTH. Check everything out of UTH. Those guys are great.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've put out 4 of them now. We've hit DeForest Buckner, Miles Jack, Reggie Ragland, and this week we put out Shaq Lawson. I don't know who we're doing next. We haven't decided yet, but if there's anybody you're clamoring to see, let us know. We'll put them on the docket.
Oh yeah, that's huge as a writer. If somebody will just tell you what to do, it's like, thank you God, I don't have to think of it on my own.
You see, this isn't that hard. We could write down 6 IDP names and roll a dice.
True.
It's not that hard.
They're good articles, man. Y'all got the cut-ups in there. I mean, they're good articles. I've enjoyed them.
I appreciate that.
I like seeing the IDP side get some love, and you guys are okay, I guess. Can I be sad for a minute?
Yeah, go for it. What you got?
Well, I'm a Broncos fan. We won the world title. It wasn't pretty, but God damn it, we won it. All right? And we had too many good defenders on expiring contracts. And we lost Malik. I knew we were going to lose Malik. We signed Wolf. Fantastic. I love Wolf. Malik's a better player, but I love Derek Wolf. We weren't going to be able to sign Malik. But today, and I knew it was coming, Danny T is a Chicago Bear. That makes me sad. Danny T is my kind of linebacker. Gritty, dirty, works for everything. Came back from nasty injuries. One of the best linebackers in the whole league. Now, for fantasy purposes, this is fan-freaking-tastic. Because he's going to go to Chicago, and he is going to be the man. He's going to absolutely feed. He's never leaving the field. And in Denver, he wasn't getting full snap share because of the scheme and because Brandon Marshall is a great coverage linebacker. Danny Trevathan's a great coverage linebacker. Brandon Marshall's better, which is kind of hard to do. So this is great for IDP purposes, but I'm a little sad. And we still haven't inked Marshall for what it's worth. So we ain't got a quarterback. We ain't trying to pay C.J. Anderson anything. I think they see the writing on the wall. We're going to pay Von Miller whatever. Doesn't matter. Whatever Von Miller wants, you pay him because he's top 5 player in the whole league. So I'm just a little bit sad. I knew it was coming. And to the Bears of all people, with our buddies and Thor and Breeze and Tony, and I work with a couple Bears fans, it's going to be nauseating. And then the Bears fan I work with pronounced it Danny Trevathan. I was like, you don't deserve him, man. You don't deserve Danny T. Danny T's my guy. I don't follow many players on the Twitter. I follow Danny T. Love Danny. He's like the offense version of DeAndre Hopkins, or the defense version of DeAndre for me. So just want to throw that out there. I'm sad. We got the ring, we got the title, but huge bummer.
I've been kind of experiencing the same thing, not on quite the same level. We've been having our 09 Super Bowl guys, the guys that have been with us since day one, Jari Evans, Marcus Colston getting let go of. Marcus Colston's been, along with Brandon Cook, one of my favorite wide receivers in the league for the last decade. Jari Evans doesn't get near enough attention as just a perennial all-pro guard. He probably belongs in the Hall of Fame, if you ask me, but you probably shouldn't ask me. If we're being honest. But it's just the only guy left is Breeze, and it's with seeing everybody else disappear, it's kind of sad knowing that's not going to be much longer either.
Yeah, and that clock's ticking too.
Hopefully, the new guard can hold down the fort without him. Hopefully, Grayson is as good as we hope he can be.
Boy, if Grayson's going to be a thing, I got some teams where he's just chilling on the bench in my 2 QB teams, just hanging out on the taxi squad. That'll be nice, but also have Breeze as my QB1 in several leagues, and neither in conjunction with one another, so it's kind of conflicted there. But hated seeing Colston go. I bet you got a number 12 jersey, don't you?
Sure as shit do.
Colston is so easy to root for.
Dude, those numbers are practically worn off that bitch, too.
Did Colston ever get out of line or do anything crazy? Any diva shit? Nothing.
Dude, he was a consummate professional. Just when they said they released him for a failed physical, I was shocked because he was all about maintaining himself on his own. He didn't need to be part of the team practices and stuff to make sure he stayed in shape. Like, he was all about discipline. He had the discipline.
He had the discipline. Just grabbed his lunch pail and went to work.
Exactly. Like, no player. How many players have really led their franchise in receptions, receiving touchdowns, and receiving yards, and never gone to a single Pro Bowl?
It's almost impossible.
Yeah, man. It managed to happen.
That's a shame.
It really is.
End of an era. Colston and Roddy and Andre.
Yep.
See ya. Fitz right behind him. Calvin, obviously. How weird. How weird. We're talking, guys. We're talking first-round startup picks 5 years ago. Calvin 2 years ago, foolishly, but still 2 years ago, all the same.
For some people, 1 year ago.
God. I'm glad I was off that train, but yeah. End of an era, but we got the new blood. We got the Cooks and the Sammys and the Mikes and the A-Robs and so much sexy out there right now.
Rocking some Kikaha and some Cam Jordan and
Stephon. Yeah, it's coming around. Kenny Vaccaro playing like a wild man. Playing like an absolute wild man.
Jari Evans, he's really the only O-lineman we got now that's not young. I mean, Max is middle age, I guess. I don't know how long O-line actually lasts for.
I don't know. You got me. I mean, a center, yeah, he can play till he's Max. I think is like 28, 29. He could play for a while.
That could go either way for me because I feel like their knees would go early.
I mean, I'm 36 and haven't played football in 20 years, and my knees are shot.
That's fair.
Well, we did it again.
Wow, we went off topic and we got super morbid.
And we talked about real football, not even fantasy, just real football.
Weird.
I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to care about real football till the playoffs.
There's 2 times I care about real football. The draft, which I mix in with some fantasy football, and the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm one of those weird sadistic people. I, honest to God, would rather my fantasy teams win than my real team during the regular season. Yeah. I know that is taboo to say.
Ooh.
I don't care. I don't care. Now, I'd rather have both, obviously. But, yeah. I'd rather my fantasy – I'm way more invested in my fantasy teams than I am in the Denver Broncos. And I'm way invested in the Broncos.
I've gotten way better about it. It used to be a year or 2 ago, if the Saints lost and it was like a bad loss, it would ruin my fucking day. But now it's like, that sucks. Oh, well.
At least Brandon Cooks caught a touchdown.
But I lied. There's one other time when I care about real football over fantasy. It's 2 games a year. What's when we're playing the Fuckbirds.
The Falcons.
Yeah.
See, that's what I have college for. Because I will live and die with the damn Longhorns and go, oof.
You got to be happy for a long time. I'm not really.
We had a good run.
There are teams whose shitty run has been longer than your good run. Like your shitty run right now is shorter than most teams' good runs over their entire history.
I think we're entering year 4 or 5 coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Keep waiting. It's turning around though. I like Strong, to be honest.
I do too. I love him because he doesn't put up with any shit. None. He came in and was like, yeah, it's my program. You don't like it. Kick rocks. I don't care. It's great.
Saying that shit to like real donors and shit, like people who are putting in real money, and he's like, I don't give a shit what you have to say.
Piss off. He's got the thing going in the right direction. I think we got to win 8 games next year for him to not be firmly on the hot seat. But Big 12's a freaking mess anyway.
That sounds about right. But he's got a solid core of his guys on there now, and it's kind of the same thing that happened with Southern Miss this year. We finally had a good number of Coach Monken's guys starting, and we went to the Conference USA Championship. And I know Conference USA isn't quite the Big 12, but we're not really working with the same level of recruits either.
It's the money, man. College football, it's all about the money. Don't ever let that get by you. It's ridiculous.
A large portion of the strength in our recruiting class comes from JUCO guys. Mm-hmm. And granted, Mississippi's got one of the stronger JUCO programs in the country, but still, like, we're taking the guys that couldn't get into college, had to go to JUCO, or didn't get recruited, so had to go to JUCO. So,
yeah.
Just went off the rails so hard.
It's so bad. We're going to have to cut so much of this crap.
Probably, maybe. I don't know.
Whatever. We do what we want.
All right, y'all. So we didn't have a bunch of IDP content this week. I know a couple of y'all sent in IDP questions. We didn't touch them because this weekend, Tyler and I are going to be recording our first IDP playbook of this offseason. And we want to make sure we have as much solid content for as we can. We got a couple questions already. If you've got more questions, feel free to send them in now. We're going to be covering free agency changes, potential scheme changes with new coaching, which we've kind of fairly covered already, but we'll probably rehash it. But if y'all like the IDP content, this one's going to be right up your alley. I think that's about all we got. In terms of any questions, you can go to ffcouchcoach.com. There's a little questionnaire form under the Dynasty Playbook podcast listing. You can also find that link on the @Dynasty Playbook Twitter page. Go there, submit your question, and it's all organized for us. And the podcast is hosted there, so if you don't use Stitcher or iTunes, listen to it right off the website. It's way easier on just a normal browser to do it that way. But you know, he's been cool hosting us there. He's been getting our name out there a little bit, and we want to make sure we return the favor.
Yeah, Coach is awesome, man. One of the best guys, really one of the best guys out there. One of the real nice guys, a teammate, a friend. He helped us in more ways than you could even imagine.
He's good people. But I think that's going to be a night. You got any party shots for us, bud?
Nope.
All right, that's all we got. This has been the Dynasty Playbook. I've been your host, Drew. You can find me on Twitter @DrewDotsonNFL. With me has been my excellent co-host, Tyler. You can find him on Twitter @HBombIDP. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.